The Declaration of Independence stands as a testament to the human spirit's yearning for liberty. More than just a document, it is a proclamation of ideals, a beacon of hope that ignited a revolution and shaped a nation. On July 4th, 1776, a group of courageous men, our founding fathers, signed their names to a document that would forever alter the course of history. With quill in hand, they declared that the 13 American colonies were, and of right ought to be, free and independent states. This declaration was not a rash decision, but the culmination of years of growing discontent with British rule. The colonists felt increasingly marginalised, their voices stifled by a distant and unresponsive crown. Taxation without representation, restrictions on trade and the quartering of British troops in colonial homes fueled the flames of rebellion. The Declaration of Independence served as both a formal severing of ties with Great Britain and a powerful articulation of the principles upon which the new nation would be founded. The document is divided into three main parts. The first part lays out the philosophical foundation for independence, asserting that all men are created equal and endowed with certain unalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The second part lists a series of grievances against King George III and the British government, detailing the injustices that led the colonists to seek independence. Finally, the third part formally declares the independence of the United States of America. The Declaration of Independence is renowned for its eloquent and powerful language. Every phrase was carefully chosen, each word imbued with profound meaning.
Thomas Jefferson, the primary author, was a master wordsmith, and his words resonated deeply with the American people and continue to inspire people around the world today.
The phrase "all men are created equal" stands as a testament to the fundamental belief in human dignity and equality, a principle that would later serve as a cornerstone of the abolitionist movement and the fight for civil rights. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are not merely abstract ideals, but are enshrined as unalienable rights, rights that cannot be taken away by any government or individual. These words recognize the inherent right of every individual to live a free and fulfilling life, pursuing their own goals and aspirations without undue interference. The Declaration also emphasizes the importance of government by consent, stating that governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. This principle, rooted in the social contract theory, asserts that political legitimacy stems not from divine right or brute force, but from the will of the people. The Declaration lists numerous grievances against King George III, highlighting the oppressive policies that fueled the colonists' desire for independence. These included the quartering of British troops in colonial homes without consent, the imposition of taxes and duties without colonial representation in Parliament, the obstruction of colonial trade through acts like the Stamp Act, and the denial of trial by jury. By enumerating these grievances, the Declaration aimed to demonstrate to the world that the colonists' decision to declare independence was not taken lightly, but was a justified response to a long train of abuses. The signing of the Declaration of Independence was an act of extraordinary courage. The signers were well aware of the risks they were taking, knowing that their actions were tantamount to treason in the eyes of the British Crown. They faced the very real possibility of being hanged as traitors if the revolution failed.
Some hesitated, torn between loyalty to the Crown and the desire for freedom. Yet they persevered, driven by a shared belief in the righteousness of their cause and the inherent right of the American colonies to govern themselves.
Many of the signers were men of considerable wealth and standing in their communities. They risked everything, their fortunes, their reputations, their lives, for the cause of liberty. Their signatures on that document were not mere strokes of a pen, but acts of defiance, a bold declaration of their commitment to a new nation founded on the principles of self-governance and individual liberty.
The signers came from diverse backgrounds and held a range of views on political and social issues. Some were wealthy merchants, while others were farmers or lawyers. Some were devoutly religious, while others were more secular in their outlook. Yet they were united in their opposition to British tyranny and their belief in the right of the American colonies to govern themselves.
Their willingness to set aside their differences and come together in the face of a common enemy is a testament to the unifying power of the ideals enshrined in the Declaration of Independence. Section 4. Forging Unity. Compromises that birthed a nation. The road to independence was paved with compromise. The Declaration itself was the product of intense debate and negotiation among the delegates to the Second Continental Congress.
The delegates hailed from different colonies, each with its own unique interests and concerns. Drafting a document that could garner the unanimous support of all 13 colonies required careful consideration and compromise.
One of the most contentious issues was slavery. Jefferson's original draft of the Declaration included a scathing condemnation of the slave trade, but this passage was ultimately removed to appease Southern delegates who feared that it would threaten their economic interests. The omission of a clear stance against slavery in the Declaration would have profound consequences for the young nation, leaving a legacy of racial injustice that continues to this day.
Another point of contention centered around the relationship between the states and the newly formed federal government. Some delegates favored a strong central government, while others feared that this would lead to tyranny.
The final version of the Declaration struck a balance, establishing a system of government that divided power between the federal government and the states. This system, known as federalism, aimed to prevent any one entity from accumulating too much power and to ensure that the rights of both the states and the people were protected. Section 5. A republic, not a democracy, safeguarding liberty through representation. The United States of America is not and was never intended to be a pure democracy. The Founding Fathers understood the dangers of mob rule and the tyranny of the majority.
Instead, they opted to establish a republic, a system of government in which citizens elect representatives to make decisions on their behalf. This system, known as representative democracy, aims to balance the will of the people with the need for thoughtful deliberation and the protection of minority rights.
In a pure democracy, every decision is made by a direct vote of the people. While this may seem appealing at first glance, it can lead to a situation where the rights of minorities are trampled upon by the will of the majority.
For example, in a pure democracy, a majority could vote to deprive a minority group of their property or even their freedom. In a republic, however, representatives are tasked with considering the needs of all citizens, not just those in the majority. They are expected to engage in reasoned debate, weigh the potential consequences of their decisions, and strive to reach solutions that benefit the entire nation.
This system of checks and balances is essential to preventing any one branch of government from becoming too powerful. It ensures that the government remains accountable to the people and that the rights of all citizens are protected.